Hi, this is Rachel from the Dotting Center. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're ready to chill out, relax, and paint. This week, off camera, I've been doing the tough mental work of color therapy to help understand and heal my deep issues with the color orange. Now, this is my challenge color, and whenever I come up against some resistance, I think it's healthy to explore it and face it head on, you know what I mean? Who knows, there might be a breakthrough one of these days and I might end up accepting it. But right now, however, it just makes me nauseous and anxious and annoyed. Isn't that crazy? Nature, is always the biggest know-it-all about colors and proves me wrong about my theory about orange all the time. So while I'm still tweaking my orange therapy pebble, we're going to work on something with colors that I know for a fact everyone will love. Purples. Oh, isn't it so relaxing? After going from that orange to purple, does it feel like your brain just got a warm, cozy blanket thrown over it? So calm, so luxurious and delicate. Purples and pinks are just delicious to paint with. Plus, to make this an even more relaxing experience, I'm going to paint outside so I can feel the sun and the breeze and hear the birds chirp as I paint. So join me in this relaxing mandala project. So the tools you'll need are the basics. This project uses everything included in my beginner dotting kit, and we'll use rods, stylus tools, chalk, pencil, compass, divider stencils. Basically everything you need is in that kit, and we're not going to do anything fancy today. We're not doing any swooshes or drops or any kind of strange fleur-de-lis. It's all dots, so this is a nice, easy beginner to intermediate level project. I also used a mahogany wood box as my object, but you can paint this design on anything. So, enough of the jibber jabber, let's get into it. Now, admittedly, there are quite a few paint colors in this project, but I was honestly just trying to erase the memory of that orange. So I grabbed every single purple I had and just went to town. Now, depending on what surface you have, you'll find center in whatever way is best, but for these boxes, there's a quick little trick. You just take your compass and place it so that the metal part is where the lid and the bottom meet, and then you just kind of move the box around until you have a good margin, the same space around the entire lid of the box. And then what you do is you measure the diameter. See how it's 2.5 right there? So you would cut that in half to get the radius, which is 1.25. And then you just place it in the center and then do a circle just to make sure that it's in line with everything. And it looks like it is. So now once you have center, just really jam it right in the top. And then make some concentric circles. And it doesn't really matter, how far apart they are. They just need to give you a guideline so that you stay on track. So now I'm going to grab my divider stencil, and this is the 16-line divider stencil. And I'm going to place some putty right in the center, and then stick that sucker right on the center line so it doesn't come off. And now I'm going to draw my divider lines, and I'm not going to do every one, I'm just going to do every other one. This is a small object, and it's going to be relatively simple, so I don't think I need all those lines. Okay, so now the lines are in place. And you just want to take that stencil off, remove the putty, and now you have perfect guidelines with your object all sectioned out. And now we're going to place our first dot, the center dot. Look at how beautiful that paint just like, it's so smooth and it has such a nice texture. I just love it. That's that Lumiere by DecoArt paint. And now these dots are the most important. These are the ones where you really have to spend a lot of time making sure that they are lined up right. I'm using my 1/8 inch silicone tool because that gives me consistent tiny dots. And there we go, first row down. And now we're gonna add that DecoArt Royal Fuchsia. It's like a hot pink color for the second row. And when you place these dots, you just want to place them in between the previous two dots, so if the first row landed on those lines, you want this next row to be on either side of the divider lines. And now, using the small end of our green stylus tool, we're just going to place some of that DecoArt Wild Orchid on each of those divider lines. Oh my gosh, and now this one is Blue Harbor by DecoArt. This color is like a cornflower, like periwinkle blue. Oh, it's so pretty. I love this paint. This one is really nice. And this is just the next row using the same stylus tool, the smaller end of your green stylus tool, and just plop down some pretty dots the same way that you did in the row before, just dropping them in the space right underneath and in the center of the previous two dots. Okay, so now using that same green stylus tool, we're just going to flip it over from the smaller ball end to the other side. And in your stylus kit, the green tool has the largest stylus end. And then we're going to add another one of my favorite paints. This is FolkArt Colorshift Blue Violet Flash. It's just so pretty. And so this is going to give you a larger size dot. And you're just going to place that in between, just the same way that we've been doing all the dots in the previous rows, just in between and kind of snugged up into that little space right there. Now we're going to use, what's this? DecoArt Cranberry Wine, and this is the same size end. We're still doing the larger side of the green stylus tool. And now I'm just wiping down the surface of those chalk lines. I should have done this in the beginning, but this just basically takes all the little particles and smooths them out so they don't affect the paint when it gets placed on top of those lines. And now I'm using my pointed silicone tool. You can see it's bouncy, and that's for giving tiny dots. And we're just going to take some of that Blue Harbor and put it in between those cranberry dots. So for this next row of frosted plum dots, I'm going to place my dot down just about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of those Blue Harbor dots, so that the top of those dots line up with that circle line. It might be different on your object, but you just want to have some space above and around those dots, because my plan is I'm going to surround them with tiny white dots. So I want to make space. And for that, I'm using my applicator bottle, but you can use whatever tools you have. This is one of the colors that I just keep on hand, and I can make these dots easier with those applicators than I can with any other tool. So this is FolkArt Pearl White paint, and I have the smallest tip so I can get the smallest dots, and I'm just gonna make dots surrounding each one of those plum dots. I really like to use applicator bottles for stuff like this because you don't lose your place, you don't have to reload your tool, and it just makes things go a lot faster, and I get better results with these than I would any other tool. It's just so relaxing, isn't it? Right about here, I started to get a little feedback back from my project. I was really getting into it and see the sun and feel the breeze and the birds. It's so nice outside right now. So now we're gonna add that royal fuchsia, 3 dots in between each one of those dots. And I don't know, do you ever get the feeling that somebody's watching you? Oh my gosh, what in the actual is that? Okay, so I'm no spider expert, but I don't like the way this guy's looking at me. Okay, that looks like an aggressive posture. Okay, so now he seems to be kind of cool. He's like dancing. He's in his own world. He's just like, woo! Maybe he's an art lover. Okay, nope, too close. Oh god, no. See, now you guys thought this was just an art tutorial, but really it ventured into nature special there for a second. So where was I? Oh yes, just how relaxing dotting is. So yeah, we're gonna add some pink dots. And now I do this thing where I added some of that purple at the top, and I just didn't like the way it played with the 2 colors that it was surrounded by it. So I just wiped it off. And if the first dot doesn't look good, guaranteed the whole row of those dots isn't going to look good. So I removed it with a wet Q-tip, repaired all the damage, and then went in with that pink, which I know just looks good. So that was an easy fix, and now we can add those dots all the way around. And now we're going to use the largest clear rod and add that blue harbor along that row, and fix the camera settings. Oh, and now I added that Lumiere paint, but it looks like it's a little too liquidy to handle an angle like that. It's a really steep arc on the top of that lid, so I just removed it, and it won't handle big dots, but it should handle smaller dots. So I'm going to change that color out and replace it with, what's this? Purple Sunset. I've used this many times before. It's tough to find a really bright, vibrant purple, and this is kind of my go-to for that. But you just want to add a dot in between those blue harbor dots, kind of sticking up into that section a little bit. And now I'm going to use my stylus tool and add that metallic Lumiere paint in 2 dots right above it. And you can see the smaller the dot, the more it can handle an angled, vertical surface like that. So it's totally fine. You just can't use it in a big dot because it'll just like drip down and look gross. Now we're going to use Wild Orchid and the smallest clear tool and just add a tiny dot right in between those purples. Now we're going to take a stylus tool and add 2 of those royal fuchsia dots on either side, all the way around. And now we're going to use that cranberry color, with the largest clear tool, the number 3 clear rod, and leave a space above and below because these dots are going to be surrounded by tiny dots. And I really love the color progression here. I like how it goes from a cool blue periwinkle down to a really warm red. I think I'm going to keep it that way, even though I could use light color dots. I want to keep that dark color at the bottom. And so now using my 1/4 inch pointed silicone tool for slightly larger dots, I'm going to surround each one of those with the same color. And now using that Lumiere Halo Violet Gold, I'm going to place 2 dots in between the spaces that are surrounding those cranberry dots. And now using that Colorshift purple, just add top dots on top of that Harbor Blue. And then Fuchsia on top of the Orchid. And now using my applicator bottle, I'm just going to add some pearl highlights right in the center of those dots. So at this point, I just am looking for spaces that I can fill with tiny dots, trying to keep the color transitions correct, and you know, it just adds detail, and it fills it in a lot better. But also, negative space is a good thing. You don't want to fill it too much and have it be too crazy. So I'm keeping some of the black in the darker areas just to give your eye a place to rest. And now for top dots, I just added white to those colors, giving a lighter tint and using a smaller rod for all the top dots. And now for those bottom dots, I'm going to use that Lumiere Halo Gold and put a top dot on the cranberry dots so that it matches. It makes a nice transition to the bottom half of the box, which is painted in that same paint. So now everything has dried, so I'm going to use some pearl white in my applicator bottle to make some 3D puffy pearl dots on top. And now to plump up that center dot, I'm going to use the same DecoArt Halo Violet Gold paint and just add another dot right on top. Look at how nice that texture of that paint is. So now everything has dried, so we're going to come in and wipe off all the chalk lines. And now to seal everything, I'm going to use this matte varnish. And now here's a fun trick. You can take pouring medium and place a dot of that clear pouring medium on top of your center dot, and it will dry clear and bumpy. It has a really cool effect. And now the final step, I'm just going to add some glue to the bottom and then glue in a circle of purple velvet on the bottom. And so there it is, all done. And for those of you who have purple as your challenge color, I hope you worked through some things. But otherwise, hey, I had so much fun. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel because I have more videos to come. And as always, if you need anything dotting related, come over to the Dotting Center on Etsy and I will hook you up. Until next week, I'll see you guys later. Bye.